Here's the chassis after recapping and replacing some out of tolerance resistors. Also replaced the electrolytic, made it nice and neat. In the meantime, I should say, in the time that I was doing this, the battery connectors had fallen off, so I went ahead and resoldered those. So this is all set. Still a bit of a rat's nest, but that's how they designed it. This is the one I did in 1991. You can see how horrible I did things with scads of spaghetti and blobby solder and tons of, what do you call that stuff? Heat shrink tubing. But I went ahead and cleaned up a couple of capacitors that were in really poor shape. And I should be able to replace this as well. This is an 820 ohm resistor, which, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know how I did that. I don't even know why I did it, for that matter. I've got to eliminate that. And just generally clean this up, maybe clean up the battery box a little bit. But I'm concentrating on this one for the meantime. So, this is about ready to go. I've also have the capacitor block mounted. All the wires are in place. So now it's a matter of mating the speaker to here, popping in some tubes, and then we'll fire this thing up and see if it does anything. Okay, one of the next things I'm going to do while I'm here, I'm going to go on ahead and see if I can solder back these little screw holes. And I think one can be contributed from here. There won't be anything left, but it's pretty much a junky set to begin with. I'd like to make a complete one. And I've got these here. The first thing I'm going to try is just have a Weller soldering gun first. I want to see if I can warm it up and see if I can ease some of these little screw jobs in place, and then go from there. Now, first thing I had to do is I took the antenna off because it's plastic. Don't want that melted. Went ahead while I was at it and cleaned up the switch. Took the grill cloth off. That's over there. So now I'm going to see about warming this up and see if this works out. Okay, that worked out real well. Didn't use the solder gun. Wound up using a small propane torch, and that was enough to soften the solder. And I've got them all patted down nice and tight. That is the way this thing is supposed to look. So now I can get the grill cloth back on. Maybe check the fit and finish and make sure the chassis is all going to fit the same way that it originally did back in 41. Well, they weren't quite as perfect as I thought, so what I did is I put this overlay on. This is now where I need the light. And then I just torched each one of these and adjusted them to where the screws would be dead center, and then slid everything over. So now this is ready to go. Now it's a matter of just dummying the chassis inside first and put the overlay on it and see how it goes. So that's going to be the next thing. That was a rip-roaring success. Everything fits exactly where it should. There's each one of these holes. They fit the speaker. They fit the cabinet, even back there. That teeny tiny nut goes right in there. So this is all set to go. So now, probably what I'm going to wind up doing is putting together the chassis and putting all this back together again. And this should be all set for our first alignment test. Alright, the radio is all assembled. I'd made a miswiring on here. I went ahead and repaired it, and I've got everything running. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to run through all my tubes again and make sure I've got the most sensitive ones out of the whole lot. Stick them in here, and then it's going to be a matter of aligning the radio and then getting it ready for button up in its case. Well, that perked things up considerably, as you notice. Flip the lid, set begins to play. I'm using one of Tony Marr's 67.5 volt batteries. The one that is powered by 4 AA's. I'll just do a quick wrap around here. Everything's in place, ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is tune this up. These have the best tubes from this stash of spares that I've got, and already it's got a lot more perkiness to it. I also replaced the antenna wires, you might notice here. The other ones were a little too short. So at this point, time to get the SiggyGen going, which is going up here. It's already warmed up. Time to get that yeah, there went my mind. It's an FET-VM. So it's not a vacuum tube voltmeter like a VT-VM. It has an FET on it. Works just about as good. And just got to get the needle to swing and adjust all these points for peak. And in this case, this is how you do it on these sets. You've got your IFs here. You've got 2 screws here, and then you got 1. These are 455. Then you adjust your high frequency and antenna, and then back here, I don't know if I can show it or not, but down here there's a little screw, and that's your low side. And what I do with the low side is I just put it around here, get the most amount of noise, then work over here, get the high, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, and then I get the maximum coverage. Okay, it's all tuned up. This is WLW, it's now coming in clear. You really can't bring the volume up, it'll overload that 1S4, which is I think why they went to the 3S4, they don't overload as much. But now, radio static down the low end of the band, this is what it should be. Stations all across the band. So, next thing I need to do is to button this one up and then get the junker going. Before I button this up, I wanted to show you there's supposed to be a piece of cardboard that's glued onto this underside. My junker one had one, but this one was missing and I could see where the outline was, so I just went ahead and cut a piece to size and got it cut. If I am not mistaken, this is where the 67.5 volt battery would come into contact if it were to get jostled about, and it would probably make contact with the metal, so they made sure that it had insulation. Because if you remember correctly, they're not insulated. These are very early 67.5 volt battery snaps. So you had to have that insulation to make it safe. Okay, it's all buttoned up. And I can't put the cover on because my battery is too big. It's one of these things I'm going to probably getting around to shrinking down. But the A batteries are tucked away, B battery is assembled. I don't know why it's on. It shouldn't be. It should only come on when the filament's applied, but in any event, there we go. Let's bring that over. Let me turn the light off here. That's better. Yeah, let's go ahead, try it out. Never fails. Let me pause this and I'll be back. Any more at work? My life is dictated by the phone. Ring, ring, ring. Gotta answer, gotta answer, gotta answer. In life, that seems to be the same way. In any event, let me turn the light off. That's better. And without further ado, I think I will need the light on. Make it a little better. Yeah, makes it only a little better, not by much. So let's try out the tuning. A lot of that interference is probably from my camera. Oh. Could also turn off some of the interference from my soldering iron. Makes a great noise generator, but right now I don't want noise.
And brings it there and ups on the Goldschmidt, and that's an out.
The only disadvantage with these sets, you can't get them very loud, otherwise the sound blooms on them, then it distorts real bad. Which I think is the main reason why they went from the 1S4 to a 3S4. It has a little more power and is able to handle it. Got a pretty good sound to it. Whoa. Yeah, there's a lot of interference coming from this camera. Yeah, see if I back it up, the shrieky isn't so bad, but it's still there.
Initiated this. How high does it go? Does it go all the way up? Does it go all the way to the White House? So once a crime has been committed, it is in the interest, especially here, of the American...
Not sure what station that is, but that's definitely not WIBC, because IBC would be over here. Still sounds good.
This kind of crime carries a sentence of up to 10 years.
Pretty good sensitivity. That's 1070.
Indiana 33, Chicago 31.
And I keep saying WIBC. I'm dating myself. This is actually the fan, I think. IBC is now on FM, but 1070 is the slot where it used to be. So I'm dating myself. Kind of hard to tune with these knobs. It's probably easier using the outer rim. They got a serrated edge.
You're in some massive country area, Settles over free consultation offer just for you. With proven tax attorneys, enrolled agents, and CPAs, Ameristar is licensed to represent you before the IRS. We will contact the IRS immediately for you. What has happened for Mr. Glasnow? We will track that start about the evening. 6 strikeouts in 2.
That's 1260.
The Altoona Curve have gotten Jamison Tyon some
1310.
For over 30 years, and our delicious beef patties are what you need.
Probably 1430.
A tasty, easy to prepare meal. JTM beef patties have just the right amount of seasoning.
question. What would it look like if this were his? What would it look like if I really believed this? What would it look like if I lived?
Here's the top end of the Indianapolis band, the Hispanic station. I'm not sure what the station number is. And then, if we crank it up, just a little on the end there. So there you go. Quick route. We got stations all over the band. So, this concludes the finished product of the close to mint original Motorola Playboy, and as with all these personal sets, close the lid, the set turns off. Now on to the junker set.